Okay, now we are moving to Unit Standard 252022, which is all about project management. Unit Standard 252022, that is all about project management. So we're going to go to page 15 of the portfolio guide and section A, question number 1. So using the information given below, draw a Gantt chart for a training workshop. So you can see everything about a Gantt chart on page number 42. I think they explain it from page 39 to page 42. That is correct. So if you go to page 42, you will see a clear illustration of a Gantt chart. What I will do is when I send you the link for this video, I will also send you a template for a Gantt chart, and you can go from there. All right, now just remember, take a look at all these things, see if they are interdependent or that if they are independent. So remember, if something's interdependent, it relies on something before it to happen in order for it to be allowed to start. So things like determining a date. If you don't have a date, you can't book the venue. So we would have to start with determining a date, and that's going to take 1 day. Once we have done that, then we can move on to booking the venue. Once we've done that, then we can book the speakers. But remember that now that we have the venue and the date, we can book the projector at the same time. So the projector doesn't depend on the speakers. Once we've got a date and a venue, we can also invite the staff, but maybe only after booking the speakers, because that would encourage people to come. So maybe wait for those 4 days and then we can slot in inviting the staff. Then we can finalize the attendance. Now remember, we can only finalize the attendance once we've invited the staff. Then once we've finalized the attendance, we can organize the food and drinks because we know how many to cater for. And then we can go into the project management of the workshop. So remember, certain things are run parallel or independently. Certain things have to run interdependently, depending on if they are reliant on the action before them. But yeah, so take a look at that and then put it together. If you use Excel, you're absolutely welcome to do that and print it out. But I will also give you a template that you might be able to use. Okay, question number 2. Identify and describe the different methods of monitoring project results. Now, there is 8 marks. So there are formal and there are informal ways of monitoring the results, and they are explained from page 51 to page 54. So you can use a mix of the formal and the informal methods of monitoring, and then just describe them. Question number 3. Identify and describe the principles that must be used when evaluating a project. So at the end of the project, when we look back and we make sure that it has gone according to plan, we need to use some principles. And those are listed on page 63. So use page 63 to draw those principles. Then question number 4. Identify modes of communication that a project manager can use to communicate project measurement tools to the team members. So we need to put together budgets, we need to put together quality parameters, all those kinds of things. They need to be expressed to the actual team members themselves who are implementing and executing. So the way that we do that, we can use some methods like we described on page 46, but otherwise, I think you know in your context how you guys express your KPIs, especially in projects, to the different team members. Okay, now we are going to go to a scenario. And based on the scenario, you are going to put together a project plan and you're going to do an evaluation of the project plan based on the scenario. So let's read through the scenario. Star Authorized Repair Center, or SARC, is an IT company that is approved by HP to repair laptops. The company employs more than 100 employees. The financial results of SARC have gone downward on a downward spiral since 2010. During the year 2010, more than 80% of its technicians resigned and joined Rainbow Repair Center, a competitor. As a way of managing the situation, SARC embarked on a recruitment drive and employed 60 students who had finished matric. These students did not have much work experience since the company was in distress. The students were taken straight into the workshop to conduct repairs under the supervision of 2 experienced supervisors. All right, so we see that there's some major drastic issues happening at this STAR Authorized Repair Center. Now, the first thing is we need to identify the main problem behind the SARC underperformance. Now, you can obviously decide on anything being a major problem. So it could be lack of training, it could be poor employee conditions that have led to people leaving. It could be that we don't have enough experienced supervisors in order to guide these young people. It could be that there's no process of career development, anything. Because if you think about it, 2 experienced supervisors looking after 60 students, my word, that's very hard in order to give mentorship, in order to give coaching. So you decide what you think the main problem behind the underperformance is. Then 3 project alternatives that can be implemented to solve the above problem. So let's say we decide we need to hire 5 more experienced staff, or we need to have a learnership development process, or we need to put them into teams, and each team needs to be taken through a training process. You decide what those 3 alternatives need to be. Then, based on those alternatives, what factors would you take into consideration when choosing the preferred alternative to solve the SARC performance problem? So things like cost, time, stakeholder return on investment, logistics, planning, any of those would be brought into that kind of evaluation. Then, once you have decided on a way forward, so let's say you decide we are going to employ 6 more people with 10 years of experience. Now we got to define the scope of the project. So, scope of the project is what are we going to do, okay, and what are we not going to do? What are we going to focus on and what are we not going to focus on? So maybe we say, okay, we're going to focus on the recruitment, selection, and employment of 6 experienced supervisors with more than 10 years of experience. That's going to be the scope of the project. Then we've got to identify the key project deliverables. So what are the things that we can see, we can touch, we can taste, we can sense that are going to have to be done in order for us to know that the project is being completed? So things like putting an advert in a social media, going to recruiters and putting together a job spec, interview of 14 of the experienced supervisors, the employment of 6 new supervisors. So what are the key things that we have to see in order for the job to actually have been done or the project to have been completed? Then list the activities that must be conducted in this project. So now that we know what the deliverables are, there are certain tasks that need to be done in order to get the deliverables done. So we need to develop this job spec. Once we've developed the job spec, then we need to give it to the recruiters and post it on social media. Once we've done that, then we need to shortlist applicants. Once we've done that, then we need to interview potential applicants. Once we've done that, then we need to put together a potential job offer. Once we've done that, so tell me exactly what are the tasks that need to be done. Then I want you to identify the potential project risks in this project. So what are the things that could go wrong that we need to be aware of? So what might happen is suddenly our competitors see that we employ and they are going to try and take more of our people. So maybe that's a potential risk. Maybe there's a risk that the people that we want to get in don't see the advert. That's a potential risk. There's a potential risk that we don't get all 6. So what are the risks that we need to be aware of? Okay, now that we've done that, we have to develop a project plan for the task above. So things that we have to put in is an executive summary. So a summary of what we are doing. So just a small paragraph in terms of what our thought process is, what our model is in terms of running this project, and what it seeks to achieve through that, what results we want. Then the goals and objectives. Now this is putting down the results that we want to see, as well as what objectives. So goal is the long-term thing. So we want to make sure that we get better results because we have more experienced team leaders, which means that we have better quality of repairs. So all of those things will be in goals. And then in objectives, we need to make sure that the objectives are SMART. So we want to improve quality by 20% within the next year. We want to improve financial results by 20% within the next year. So what are those objectives? Then we've got to look at the roles and responsibilities. So what are the roles and responsibilities in this project? Who needs to do what? So HR, what is their responsibility? Finance, what is their responsibility? Operations, what is their responsibility? Who is involved? What must they do? Then key tasks and deliverables. So we've sort of spoken about the key tasks based on task number 2, but what they want you to do is to do a work breakdown structure. So remember we spoke about a WBS, and the way to see the WBS is to go to page number, I'll tell you now, page number 30, and you see we actually looked at planning a banquet. And so we had the banquet, and then we broke it down into the different sections. Under each section, then we put down the key activities that need to be done under those specific sections. So you put together a work breakdown structure based on what needs to be done in this project. Then we also need a resource plan. So what do we require in order to do the job? So what human resources, what financial resources, what equipment resources do we need in order to do this project? Then we need to put together a project schedule, and the best way to do that is to use a Gantt chart. I don't know what a network diagram is, but definitely a Gantt chart will help us to see the schedule of how the project needs to roll out and how long it will take us until we are finally successful. So remember the Gantt chart that we did in the formative, we're just going to, that we did in the previous example, we're going to use that same Gantt chart to try and plan the timing of this project. Then we're going to look at the budget. So how much is it going to cost us in order to do this project? And then what contingency plan? So if it doesn't work out, we don't get the numbers, or somehow we don't get enough people applying, or somehow we don't get enough experience, what will we do in order to make sure that we still achieve our results? So what is the contingency plan? So that is going to be the formative section. Now, the summative, again, is about what we do and what we can apply in our own environment. So with that, we are going to go to the summative section, and that's going to start on page number 33. Okay, so if we go to page number 33, question number 1, describe the process of identifying risks. Describe the process of identifying risks. So there are quite a few little areas of how we identify the risks, and they are spelled out on page number 19, 20, and 21. So what I advise is take a look at the headings, and so write down the headings, and then explain each of the heading and how then we get to identifying the risks. The same process in question number 2. Identify and describe change systems and processes that are essential in a project. Now it goes through the change process model on page number 56 and 57. And again, look through that, put down the headings, and describe each of the headings, and you'll get your 10 marks. Then question number 3, describe the roles and responsibilities of the following stakeholders. So sponsors, project team, project manager, and steering committee. Now, those are described on page number 28 and 29. So you just take a look at what role and responsibility and quickly describe what that really means. Okay, so once you've done that, then you are going to go to section B. Now, again, section B is all about what you already do in terms of project management. So you're going to have to describe a project and show me how you analyze and implement and evaluate the project that you are working on. So here we go. Task number 1. Describe the problem that your organization is facing. So if you have currently been working on a problem, and maybe you come to the solution and you're implementing the solution, you then use that, because you're going to have evidence of all of this because of that specific process that you're going through. So you looked at a problem, okay. Then you identified 3 project alternatives. So what were 3 things that you could have put in place that would have solved that problem? Then, taking those 3 alternatives, why did you choose the solution that you are currently using? So, describing the viability, the cost, the results, the logistics, the time, the money that was needed. Why did you choose that specific solution? Then, task number 2 is using the project that you identified in task 1. You need to show scope planning of the project. So the first one is define the scope of the project. So what is the problem that you're looking at, and what are the different elements of that problem that you are focusing in on? Because certain parts of it actually don't matter, but what is the part that you are actually focusing on? So what is the range? What is the limitation within you are focusing on? Then identify the key project deliverables. So what are the things that it aims to deliver? Then list the activities that must be conducted. Now, again, you can use the work breakdown structure to be able to list those specific tasks, but ultimately you should know the tasks that you have been implementing in order to get this project over the line. Then identify any project risks in the project. So based on the project that you are implementing, dealing with the problem that you are dealing with, what are the potential risks? Then, based on that, you're going to put together a project plan, and it must include the executive summary, so a summary of what you are doing, why you are doing it, what you want to achieve from it, the goals and objectives of that specific project that you are implementing, the roles and responsibilities, so who is involved and what do they do, then the key tasks and deliverables. Remember the work breakdown structure, you can show that. Then the resource plan, so what things do you need in order to achieve the goal? Then the project schedule, so use a Gantt chart. Then the budget, so show me the budget of that specific project. If you don't know the budget, then give me an overview of what you think the budget might look like. Then a contingency plan. So obviously, if that project doesn't go to plan, there needs to be a backup plan, a plan B that could be phased in, that could try and rescue the situation. Then you are also required to develop a Gantt chart for the project. So when it says network diagram or project schedule, if you've used a Gantt chart there, you can just take the same Gantt chart for that one. Then you need to develop quality parameters for each task that needs to be completed. Okay, so when we are looking at the different activities from number C, take a look through those different activities and give me quality parameters. So it could be something like we need to employ 4 new supervisors. They have to have 10 years of experience. They need to and we need to pay them less than 150,000 Rand a year. That is the quality parameters that I need. Then we need to put a training program together. What are the quality parameters? Well, it has to be accredited and it has to be under 30,000 Rand per person. So that gives me clear specifications in terms of, is it within the range of quality that we require in order to get the project at the quality we need. Then explain how we will communicate the Gantt chart and the quality parameters to the team. So we've got certain quality parameters, we've got deadlines. How do we communicate that to our team? Well, you would know exactly in your context how you would communicate that. So tell me about those ways. All right, then based on the project, especially if it is already running, write and attach progress reports. So if these are emails about how a project is going currently, that's brilliant. Then just print them out and attach them. Then identify project deviations and how you corrected them. So based on your progress reports, you saw that you were over budget by 10%. How did you deal with that? Maybe you changed suppliers. Brilliant. Then we saw that we were 5 days ahead of schedule. So how did we deal with that? Well, it was actually a good problem to have, so we didn't correct it. Then with one of the things, the quality was not at the right standard. So what did we do? Well, we took that component out and we tried a new component. So tell me about the things that didn't go according to the plan and what you did to make it fit the plan. All right, so that is the way to finish your portfolio for unit standard 252022. So I think you are very, very equipped to be able to do that. Most of you have that experience and you do project management quite often. So don't think you'll need too much help. If you do need help, you know how to get a hold of me.